This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
My guest today on Sports Files is Heisman Trophy winner and former NFL All-Pro running back Eddie George. He was as durable as any tailback in NFL history. In fact, Eddie George and Hall of Famer Jim Brown are the only two running backs to rush for over 10,000 yards while never missing a start. After a Heisman Award-winning senior campaign at Ohio State, George became the 14th overall pick of the 1996 draft, taken by the Houston Oilers. He would earn NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year honors that season. In 1997, the Oilers would relocate to Tennessee, playing their first season in Memphis. George would go on to play 9 years in the NFL, being named to 4 Pro Bowls and leading the Titans to a berth in Super Bowl 34. Today, Eddie George joins me to talk about his career, his bouts with depression after he left the game, and his busy schedule since. Next on Sports Files. Well, Eddie, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Not a problem at all. Glad to be here.
Congratulations are in order. You're part of this 2014 Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. You've won many honors. How does this one feel for you?
It's a tremendous honor. I know that Frank Wycheck and the late Bud Adams, they're part of the Tennessee Hall of Fame as well. Anytime that you're recognized for your accomplishments on the field, in any Hall of Fame, but for the great state of Tennessee, and all the great players that have come from this state, that have played in this state, is truly tremendous, and it's a great honor to be a part of it.
As you said, you made a name for yourself and had a great career in Tennessee, obviously at Ohio State. But before that, you're from Philadelphia. You're from my neck of the woods, and you went to military school.
Yes.
What was that like, and what did it do in molding you as a young man, a boy, in fact, into adulthood?
Well, you know what? It's funny you mention that. That's one of my talking points for my keynote speech is that, during this journey, although I had a Hall of Fame career, it was full of ups and downs. And at that point in time, it was a transition point for me personally because I wasn't doing anything I needed to do in school. I was a poor student, a D average student.
Wow.
But I had great aspirations of playing football. And that year, when I went to Fort Union, I was supposed to be the starting running back at Abington High School.
Right.
But my mother had other plans, so she shipped me off to Fort Union Military Academy my junior year. And when I went there, it was an eye-opening experience. Didn't have a chance to play. I sat behind 2 running backs, started ahead of me. Both were 6'3", 225 pounds.
Wow.
They both ran 4.5s. And at that time, I was about 6 foot, 168, and was running a 4.8. So in my mind, I thought I was all of that, but I was none of that once I got down there. So I had a lot of work to do, and I had some growing pains to go through it. And it wasn't easy at first, to go there, away from Philadelphia, away from my comfort zone. I had to grow up fast. I had to realize that I had to work with the system for it to work for me. I had to surround myself around the right people that were about getting a great education, about going to D1 schools, about working hard in the weight room and so forth. So I established my work ethic there, and I used the great people at Fort Union Military Academy to help me, put me in a position to foster my dreams. So I had to surrender, basically, and that was one transition point in my life that I'll always look back to because it was not easy. There were days when I will go into the gym where you'll see all the great players that have come to the school that went to the professional ranks, that played in the NCAA, that went on to win a Heisman Trophy like a Vinny Testaverde or Mike Quick that played for the Philadelphia Eagles. Right. And I would sit there, my days were tough when I didn't think I was going to make it. I would sit there and wonder and look and imagine my picture being up there one day. And it took a lot to go through that. It was not easy in trying to accomplish a dream.
You used it as motivation.
Oh, no doubt about it.
You took advantage of it, that opportunity,
and then you decide Ohio State's right for me, and you go on to win a Heisman Trophy. Just bring us back to those days, winning the Heisman Trophy. What was that about?
That was another journey. Just getting to Ohio State was another story in itself. But once I got there, I had aspirations of playing early. I did so my freshman year. I played sparingly, was a goal line specialist, had some tremendous success in the early part of the year. But once we got into the Big Ten schedule, that's when it got tougher. To say the least, I fumbled twice in a game against Illinois in my freshman year, and I never saw the field again until my sophomore year. I played garbage time, but really it wasn't meaningful. So in my junior year, that's when I kind of found myself, really got used to the game, and wasn't regarded as a high draft choice coming into it or even a Heisman Trophy candidate my senior year. I kind of just burst onto the scene because I would work out twice a day. I would be the first one in the weight room, the last one to leave, always studying film, always looking at other great running backs in the professional ranks and collegiately, always challenging myself. So my senior year was very special for me because it was my final crack at leaving my legacy in college football by trying to win a Heisman Trophy, trying to win a national championship, trying to win a Big Ten championship. Those were my goals, and I almost accomplished all of them.
Well, through hard work, through diligence, through dedication, you made yourself a better player. So you go into this senior year, you end up winning the Heisman. Well, obviously, once you won the Heisman, you knew what was going on with the NFL. But what was the point when you finally figured out, yeah, I could play at that level? When was it?
Oh, man, you know what? My junior year, I didn't know. I didn't think I could play at the level.
Right, so it was the senior year is when you finally realized
I think it was, I know it was in the middle of the workouts that summer. People think that the season, that's where all the magic happens. But actually, the season you go through is a byproduct of the work you put in from the winter, spring, and summer. That's where you win. That's where you get drafted in the first round. That's where you win the Heismans. That's where you win national championships during that time frame. And it's so critical that you cannot waste a day in doing that. So I kind of felt like I had an opportunity to play at the next level right around the summer of my senior year because of the work that I was putting into it. And I was really fine-tuning my craft. I was becoming a craftsman in terms of being a running back, the nuances of reading the plays, letting the game come to me, feeling the holes versus trying to see it and force it.
Right.
Allowing it just to happen and manifest, and trusting my instincts, trusting my speed, trusting all the work that I've done before that, and it just kind of just fell into that a little bit.
You move on, you're drafted to the Titans, you put together this unbelievable career. You make it look, to a guy like myself or any fan out there, easy. I know it wasn't easy, but you certainly made it look that way.
No, I don't know if I did. I mean, there was some rough moments. The one thing that I take great pride in is that I never missed a game in my entire NFL career due to injury. And this was during a time when the league that we played in was for grown men only. And the running back position
Little
was
boys
held,
go home.
Right. Bring your big boy pads and your aspirin because it was going to be a long day.
You said moments ago that you almost accomplished all the goals. Obviously, we're talking about coming up just a little bit short in Super Bowl 34. When I bring that up, do you get mad? Do you want to hit me? No. Or are you over it?
You're never over it. I mean, you never get over that game.
Right.
Regardless of whether it was a year ago, 15 years ago, 20, 100 years from now, because it was a combination of everything that I had gone through, or we had gone through, to get to that moment. And it just is as fresh as day, just being in it, just physically, energetically, just feeling tired, exhausted, and you were playing literally with your soul at that point in time to will yourself to victory. And to fall a yard shy of that always sticks out in your mind, because you always wonder what life would be like had we crossed the line, had we gone into overtime, what would have happened? How would life be different if I were a Super Bowl champion? Able to say that we brought Tennessee, the entire state, a Super Bowl championship when nobody expected it.
But it wasn't for a lack of trying. It was
Right.
certainly a great season. It was a great career. The NFL is done. You move on to the business world, which we'll talk about in a second. But I just read this, Eddie, because I had no idea about the depression, the bout of depression. How bad was it?
It was difficult. To put it on a scale of 1 to 10, I think everybody has their own range
Right.
of what they're able to deal with and how they're going through something. I think you can't say, well, it's a second degree, third degree. If you're in depression or you're not. I mean,
Right.
it's one way or the other. And
We hear some horrendous, horrible
yeah.
stories about athletes who really can't live, and they take their own lives. I mean, how bad did it get?
It never got to the point where I considered taking my own life, but I can certainly understand or see how guys can take a turn for the worse if you stay there. That's the key. You've got it's something that you go through, and I don't care if you played 20 years, 15 years, made millions of dollars. There's nothing like that game, and you truly die. A part of you dies.
Part of you dies.
Because you've pretty much cultivated that baby
Yes.
from the time that you were a child to the time that you're a grown man, and now you have to put that part of you to rest. The days of preparing for a season are long gone. When you smell the fresh cut grass on a August day in the evening, you know it was time for football. Those days are gone.
Right.
You know, the hitting of the pads. I mean, all of that, the clacking of the cleats is no longer a part of you. So you're going to go through that phase or those phases, the nuances of that to find who you are. And you've got to allow yourself to divorce your weight away from that, to go through that process to see what's on the other side. And often what happens is guys get stuck in that because they want to hold on to that identity, and that's what happens. They fade away with that identity. So you've got to have enough courage. You've got to do the work. You've got to seek out counseling. You've got to seek out the proper support to get through it. And it's not a 3-month phase, 6-month, 2-year, 4, 5, 6 year process. It's a lifetime.
Lifetime, yeah.
And you have to work at it. It has to become a lifestyle versus just a 2-3 session deal. I mean, you've got to really put in the work to make that transition and resurrect as something else and use that platform as your benefit versus a hindrance for you in the future.
And it's good to be active, doing a lot of different things once you get out of the game, and that's exactly what you've done. George Enterprises, trying to make people's lives better, trying to do a lot of positive things in the business world. You've succeeded. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I succeeded in the sense that, you know, I've been able to be proactive. There have been a lot of misses in the business world.
But you got to step up to the plate, right?
Hey, listen, you step up, you swing, you miss. You step up, you might get a tip ball, you foul out. You know. So you just got to again. It's about re-educating yourself to a new craft,
Right.
And understanding that, you know, in business there are no friends, and I've known that from playing in the NFL and now having my own business and creating new businesses and creating new opportunities for myself. It's again a diligent process that you've got to just wake up every day and chomp the bit at it and become a true master and a student of it. So that's what inspired me to go and get my MBA, to become a more diligent, smarter businessman.
Right.
So,
Right.
And that's where I am right now. Is aligning my passion and my life purpose to make that a career for myself in the business world. And where I mean, I'm a lot farther when I was like 5-6 years ago, but I'm not where I want to be. So the success, like you mentioned, is not so much defined in the dollar amount or how many businesses I have, is the fact that I can get a quality rest at night. You know, knowing that I've done all I can do, knowing that I'm aligning myself with the right people, the right situations, and coming to each venture with integrity, I can rest well at night.
Makes
and
sense.
knowing that in the end, eventually, if it's meant to be, that it will become prosperous.
Beside all the business ventures, obviously work on Fox. American Dream Builders is a reality show, and you're a judge in that, right?
Yes.
And then you got to explain this one. Where did the acting chops come from? Othello
Yes.
in Nashville, part of the Nashville Shakespeare Festival's production. Have you always wanted to act?
Well, through my depression, I was able to find my voice and find my new self through the arts. Again, I'm a person that's always going to challenge myself. I'm always going to put myself out there. And television and acting was something that appealed to me.
Right.
And I was doing, auditions in LA, around the country, that weren't working out so well. So I had no idea what I was doing, no idea whatsoever. So I said, you know what, let me take a few steps back, understand the basics of acting, get into theater.
Trying to learn the craft.
To learn the craft.
Right. Okay.
Got into it. And once I started getting into it, started understanding character development, story arc, building a character, taking something from my own life and using that for the impetus of the character. I said, okay, let me try this. So I started about 6-7 years ago. I started
Wow.
doing monologues on stage. Then I did a 2-man play on stage, which was Top Dog Underdog. Then I did Julius Caesar about 2 seasons ago. And then I did Othello. So I've done some television work, film work, and now stage work as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to head back out now
Absolutely.
that you've learned this craft, you've gotten it down pretty well, and try to.
You never get it down pretty well. I mean,
No, you can never-
I think I know how to get around the stage. I know what to do. I know the rhythm of it.
Right. But do you feel confident we'll see you in another movie?
I
on
would
a
love
show?
that. I think absolutely that if that's what's in the cards, I welcome that.
We'll keep an eye out for
Absolutely.
that. I have to ask you about a story that has been very big, and it will continue to be through the draft and through the his first season in the National Football League. And I'm talking about Michael Sam from Missouri coming out and telling the whole world that he is a gay football player, and he knows that he can play at the next level. And I think a lot of people believe he can play at the next level. When you heard this, your initial reaction, and is the National Football League, in your opinion, ready to? Now, we know there's probably been gay players, but not openly gay players.
right.
Are they ready to accept this, in your opinion?
I don't think so. I think it's this is the first of its kind for someone to come out and openly say that. First of all, I commend Michael Sam for having the courage to come forth and talk about his lifestyle and what he feels comfortable and who he is. Because in an NFL locker room, it can be brutal. I mean,
Right.
you look at what happened down in Miami and the bullying and all of that nonsense that's going on down there. And now an openly gay player comes out and he's a rookie, and someone that's on, trying to get a job, it could be very difficult because guys are very standoffish when it comes to that. And I think, over time, when he gets on the teams, I think he is an exceptional player, and guys begin to see him for who he is and what he brings to the team, and not necessarily what he prefers sexually, then it will all settle down and it will be like an afterthought. And because it's a process to deal with that. All the attention and how he is and looking at his every move and so forth, and nobody really cares. I don't care. The only thing I care about is the attention that it will bring on the team and will it affect his play. And I looked at his combine, and I think it's affecting him because of all the attention that it put on him and all the pressure that it put on him.
He didn't perform as well.
Didn't perform as well.
Hopefully he will at his pro day.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the kid was an SEC Defensive Player of the Year.
That says an awful lot, right?
He can play the game.
Yeah. But you make a great point also about all the unwanted attention that'll
Right.
come with it, but he's also a rookie. So the normal rookie hazing is going to take place as well.
Well, nowadays, I don't think that's going to happen. I think all eyes are going to be on him where it's going to
after
be
the-
handled with
yes.
care and all
That's a
of
great
that.
point.
So
With the Miami situation with
so
Incognito
I
Martin.
think it's a different league than what I know. But I think it's a time that we're in where it's becoming accepted,
All
and
right.
it's okay. You look at in any business, it's happening.
Eddie, we like to end all our interviews with something we call 5 for the road. I'll give you 5 questions, quick answer, first thing that comes to
Oh,
mind.
boy.
Rapid fire here.
Oh, boy.
What
This
is your
gonna be-
favorite professional team? You obviously can't use the Titans as the answer here.
Favorite professional team? Any?
You grew up in Philly, any sport?
Flyers.
The Flyers, there you go.
Yes.
My favorite hockey team of all time. Favorite pro athlete?
Oh man, Michael Jordan.
Okay. What's your favorite music? Musician, artist?
You know, that's a great one. She asked me because I Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
I
Well,
wanna
that's a
give
great
it-
answer.
yeah.
Favorite movie?
Legends of the Fall.
Legends of the. Wow, you're going Brad Pitt on us here.
Yeah.
And then finally, your favorite TV show, and you cannot use American Dream Builders. That's an answer.
I will say SWV Reunited on WeTV.
And
My wife.
maybe one day you'll make a guest appearance on that show. Eddie, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us.
All
We
right.
appreciate it. We'll take a quick time out. Overtime is coming up next.
MMA fighting is unquestionably a rough sport, but recently an MMA event was staged that had a more genteel outcome. Working with the charity group Forever Young and Bumpus Harley-Davidson in Collierville, an event called Havoc for Heroes took place that raised money to send World War II veterans and survivors of Normandy Beach back to France for a more peaceful visit on the 70th anniversary of D-Day. So we sent a crew to see what it was all about.
You know, this event was a really big deal for us. It's for a very good cause. I don't think there's any greater cause than helping support the guys who fought for our freedom. Bumpus Harley-Davidson has been a big part of the veteran movement, and I've been a big part of Bumpus Harley-Davidson for several years. I've owned several Harleys, and when they found out that I was doing MMA, they approached me and said, would you like to do this event for these veterans? And I thought, absolutely. You know, I have my stepfather is in the Navy. I have ancestors that were very much active in the military, and I don't think there's a greater cause. And those guys went overseas and they fought for us, so we're going to come in here tonight and try to fight for them.
This is a rough sport. What's your attraction to it?
I've been doing Taekwondo for 9 years. I'm a second-degree black belt and an instructor, and I have a big brother, so I've always just liked contact sports. It's a good release. You feel a lot better after you go hit someone. In the sport, not on the street. I'm not a mean person.
Tell us about your team. Your team, compared to everybody else out here, is a little bit unusual. Tell us about it.
Our team is actually a church-sponsored team that's actually free on Sundays, and it's just a great atmosphere. Everybody is friendly. The first day I walked in, they treated me like I was a family member. I was just instantly clicked, and everybody was just really nice. My coaches are great. My coaches do this for free, and that's how you can tell they genuinely care.
So tell me about your bout this evening.
I am fighting someone named Hunter. I don't remember his last name. He's actually my third opponent. The first two dropped out, and he was nice enough to step up on 2 weeks' notice and fight me. And I've actually already sparred him once, so this is going to be a fun fight since we've already fought. And I'm feeling confident, really confident.
So what kind of, how would you describe yourself as a fighter? What's your,
I am a Taekwondo fighter. I like to kick a lot.
and do you know what your opponent likes to do?
He's more of a boxer. He likes boxing, punching, that type of stuff. I'm tall and long, so I'm going to use my range and hopefully get a head kick. That's the plan anyway.
It was a great evening of MMA, and hats off to everyone involved for helping fulfill the wishes of some courageous veterans of World War II who gave so much for their country. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Paul Cook, who won his match. The Memphis Tigers men's hoop team played last night in Cincinnati and will wrap up the regular season tomorrow at FedEx Forum versus SMU on Senior Day. Last Saturday, the Tigers picked up one of their biggest wins in recent memory, taking down Rick Pitino and then 7th-ranked Louisville, giving the Tigers a regular season 2-game series sweep of the rival Cardinals. The Tigers rallied from 8 down with less than 5 minutes to play, closing on a 15-1 run. Next week, Memphis will host the first ever American Conference Tournament. And that'll do it for now. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.